For my capstone project, I've decided to curriculum. This is my 7th year teaching Spanish at Etowanda High School. It is my 3rd year actually teaching AVID. I've taught sophomore AVID and junior AVID. Etowanda High School is located in Rancho Cucamonga, California. We are part of the Chaffee Joint Union High School District. Etowanda High School is the largest school at our district. We have over 3,600 students enrolled this year, where 51% of them are Hispanic, 19 are white, 17.5 African American, 5.1 Filipino, 5.2 Asian, and 2.2 are identified as other. Our school serves a fairly middle-class socioeconomic base, with 33% identified as qualified for free and reduced lunch. Over the last couple of years, there has been an increase in the percentage of students receive free and reduced lunch. We have seen more and more students that live in multiple families in one home. Before the recession, our percentage for free and reduced lunch was about 17%. They're thinking that next year we'll hit close to the 50% mark. My curriculum research project is a new project. It's not based on any other one from any other class. It's based on students' needs, and I did it during my Spanish 2 classes. The problem that I have encountered this year is that students are very low academically. Instead of teaching Spanish 2, I'm actually teaching Spanish 1.5. Students lack motivation, they lack engagement, and there's minimal understanding of concepts. Spanish 2 is very difficult for them because Spanish 1 was learning vocabulary, playing games, having fun in the class, whereas Spanish 2 is more grammar based. So it is really hard to actually include a lot of the games, a lot of the hands-on activities that they used to have in Spanish 1 because of the grammar that is taught during Spanish 2. I actually surveyed 103 students, and I asked them if they prefer using a textbook or using different applications to learn Spanish. The second question was, what applications do you think benefits you? Quizlet, Conjuguemos, Kahoot, PH School, or any others you might use. Some of these applications students have used in the past in my class or in other classes like history, English, chemistry, etc. Number 3 was, as a teacher, what can I do to increase your understanding and concepts we learn in Spanish? What changes do you want me to make when teaching a new concept? And do you like games when we play in class? Why or why not? Out of 103 students, only 70 students submitted their survey. Um, the survey actually said that they don't want to use a textbook. They want more hands-on activities. They want to use more technology, and they want it to be interactive. Mostly students like the competitive aspect of some of the applications used. After first semester was over, I realized that using the textbook and using some hands-on activities wasn't the best way to teach the language. Students were not learning, they were having a really hard time, and their grades were very low. As I read in some of the articles, it is important to include all types of learners, and the way to do it is by providing a variety of instructional tools to accommodate the student's individual learning preference and encourage motivation. Finding new and innovative ways of teaching will help to engage and motivate students. At the same time, it would increase their academic achievement. I hope that by creating this curriculum, this will actually happen and I can see some type of change. My research question and sub-questions are, will integrating applications when teaching vocabulary and grammar improve students' understanding? From this research question, 2 sub-questions arose. What improvements in student engagement are made with these integrations? And do these integrations better serve females or males in the classroom? Some of the articles I read were teachers from other countries trying to teach students how to speak English, how to write English, etc. So they actually use the applications. I was surprised that I could find many articles related to this research. Learners feel motivated when up-to-date and authentic materials are used to support the learning. Nowadays, they are past that pencil and paper. And when they have teachers who incorporate aspects of technology to scaffold their learning through the use of contextual tools such as images, icons, and audio and video elements. Not using some type of technology, online assignment submission, online dictionaries, target language, text websites, and audio video clips is essentially unthinkable of the 21st century language instructors. I myself have to say that I've started using Google Classroom a lot more this semester than first semester. Once I got the hang of it, it was so much easier, and I post everything online and I don't have to have the kids bring their textbooks to school. The use of technology in the classroom can increase motivation, decrease anxiety, foster more student-centered activities, provide students with authentic materials and audiences, promote greater language production, and higher level of language sophistication. The reason why it decreases technology is because students are more one-on-one based. They have their Chromebook and they are using an application. It's one-on-one. They can do it as many times as needed until they get that 100%. They're not put on the spot. If they're being asked a question, if it's wrong, they get another chance. If they say it out loud, then they're embarrassed if they get it wrong. They don't want to participate anywhere, so that anxiety increases. Giving students additional tools to learn a language benefit them in different ways. Not only does it give them opportunities to choose how they will learn vocabulary and grammar, but it also increases their motivation. Motivation is a significant factor within education because it encourages students to produce meaningful work and cultivate a desire for life learning. Vocabulary learning via technology enables learners to be exposed to repetition of vocabulary, which is believed to be more effective than mass repetition. So repetition in an application is much better than repeating the words inside the classroom. Applications like Quizlet and Kahoot create a positive impact on student motivation, engagement, and achievement in the classroom. Quizlet and Kahoot can have a competitive component to them. Therefore, students feel motivated to actually do the work, practice using Quizlet, and then when it comes to competing with their classmates, they're prepared. Benefits of using technology: students are more engaged, speaking more regularly, having more fun. More students are sticking with language instruction for longer periods of time, and they're learning more in that time than they used to. They are learning faster, grades are higher, and it's helping with true proficiency. I believe this is true. For the month that I spent doing this curriculum, I also saw an increase in engagement, especially when students were able to use their vocab list, their notes, in order to do different activities in class. My curriculum, the big idea of this curriculum was to use technology, any applications to master vocabulary and grammar. The objectives for this chapter are: students will communicate about shopping, clothing, and fashion, talk about the past using the preterite of regular verbs, point out specific objects using demonstrative adjectives, and compare things without repeating adjectives. In order to accomplish these objectives, we used different applications. I actually taught this lesson within 20 different days. So there were 20 lessons at the end. I chose 12 of these lessons because, of course, didn't want to include all 20 of them for the project. My first lesson is called A ver si recuerdas, and this lesson is actually before the beginning of the chapter. We have to review vocabulary that they will be using, and this review is based on vocab that they learned in Spanish 1. So for the first lesson, I actually gave them a vocabulary list where they had to translate the vocab they knew from the previous chapters. I showed them a PowerPoint presentation where I had a picture of the vocabulary word. I had the vocabulary in Spanish, and I asked for the English word. After doing this, students logged on to Kahoot and we play a little review game to see how much they actually remembered. And students who won received extra credit. For lesson number 3, it was a review of the previous learned vocabulary and the numbers. We had we reviewed the vocabulary first using the PowerPoint. After that, we played a game called Mata Moscas where students had a fly swatter. They're competing against each other. I say the vocab word in Spanish. Whoever hits it first um, actually gets the point. After playing Mata Moscas, we played bingo. And then after we played bingo, we played Yo Tengo Quien Tiene. And it's a numbers game. Yo Tengo, whoever has the number I mentioned, they say Yo Tengo so and so. And then they have to ask the question Quien Tiene and a different number. And it's a game until we finally get to the last person. Lesson number 4, Buscando una ganga, we actually start the chapter in this lesson. We read the story, which is called Looking for a Bargain. They read the story in groups of 4, where each one is a different character. After we read the story in the groups of 4, we read it out loud. I ask reading comprehension questions, very simple ones. After we go over that, the students as a group answer a reading comprehension activity in their textbook. Manos a la obra. This is for lesson number 6. We get into vocabulary activities. First of all, I actually go over the vocab with another PowerPoint. I have the picture and I have the words in Spanish where I ask for the English meaning. After we go over that, we do more phschool.com activities. Where students have to submit their responses to Google Classroom. After that, students get to work on their Quizlet, flashcards, and spell for their new vocabulary. And 5 minutes before the bell rings, I give them their homework assignment, where they have to color and match vocabulary words. For lesson number 7, it's more vocabulary practice. The first thing we do is we go over the homework. After that, I go over the PowerPoint again with them, making sure they're learning their vocabulary. We do another PH School activity. After we do that, we play a Kahoot game where we're going to review the vocabulary they've been learning. And at the end of class, the last 10 minutes, we play Quizlet Live, which is students get in groups of 4, and they actually compete with other groups. For lesson number 8, el pretérito, I teach them how to conjugate verbs in the past tense. I do this by showing them a PowerPoint. They fill in the blanks of their notes. Then I show them videos just to support what I have taught them. After I show them the YouTube videos, I review the conjugation by asking questions out loud before I give them their homework. Lesson number 9, we continue with the preterite tense. Before I get into reviewing the homework assignment, I go over the vocabulary again. Then they have a conversation where they're partnered up with one of their classmates and they have to ask each other questions. After that, we play another activity. It's called Pancho Camacho, where students go in front of the classroom and they have to conjugate it to buy, verb comprar in the preterite tense, and whoever's up there last is the person that wins. After we do that, we do a phschool.com activity using the preterite tense. They do about 3 activities this day. And the last 15 minutes of class, they get to work on the Quizlet again. I implemented these 12 lessons within a month span. It was actually 20 lessons at the end of this chapter. It really took a really long time using a lot of the Quizlet, Kahoot, and the phschool.com, integrating that plus doing other things. Students actually loved the fact that we were going slow and we were practicing a lot. There's always room for improvement. I know I can include many other applications now. My only problem is trying to balance that time. There's so many applications out there that I just learned about and am dying to try. Um, at first, it was difficult to get past the idea that I wasn't in front of the class the whole time teaching. I was just monitoring, making sure they were on task. That was really, really hard because it was more a one-on-one when they did online stuff. I actually noticed everybody being engaged, but I was worried that they might not be learning. I don't know if that engagement was just actively or passively. So that was an issue. Um, I observed students trying the activities until they received that 100% and be able to turn in their assignment on a Google Classroom. Students that actually had low grades passed the test and the quiz for this chapter. At the end, I interviewed them and they said they actually understood the concepts that were taught. They knew the vocabulary. They felt very confident. It takes a lot of time to use all of the applications, but at the end of the day, it's well worth it. And based on observation and grades, the girls benefited more than the boys. My limitations were very minimal. I think one of the main ones is time, that I felt pressure that I had to move on because I was falling behind. I couldn't spend too much time on certain concepts, and I wish I could, but if I actually limited myself this way, it took a month. I knew it would have taken a month and a half. Sometimes the internet also wouldn't work, so that made it a little bit challenging to use the different applications. We had to go back and use the workbooks. The significance of this project is that I wanted to see the impact of integrating all this technology would have in student academic achievement, their engagement, and their retention. I actually saw an increment in all these three areas. And I also realized that it's very important to collaborate and share best practices for student engagement and academic achievement. Some of the teachers that I talked about this project with them, they told me, "Oh, have you tried this? Oh, have you tried that?" So they gave me really, really good ideas. I have made big changes to my teaching because I still continue up until this date integrating applications, not as much as I did for this chapter, but I do. I want to continue to improve my lessons, and hopefully next year I'll have many more applications and I won't have to use the textbook at all. I understand that I will never have that 100% understanding of a concept, but I hope I get close to it. I want the students to learn and be prepared for Spanish 3. Doing this project has been very beneficial, and I'm glad I was part of this course. I learned a lot. Thank you for watching my presentation.